Today we're going to be comparing the differences between the SSR full-size dirt bikes because they have the 250, the 300, and the 450. Interesting enough, the 250 and the 450 are both built by Asia Wing. They're essentially the same chassis with a different engine and maybe some small other details. The 300 is built by a company called Bowser. And, I think, being totally honest and serious, the 300 has better components than the 250 or the 450. It's crazy. I wish, the 450 was outfitted the same, but it's not. Which kind of sucks, but whatever. Let's start here. The wheel set. Those are just sand cast hubs. Same thing as any Japanese bike would have. But the spokes are just standard steel, like a Japanese bike, just like my KX450. Spokes, nothing special. Alloy rims, that's cool. But the SSR had billet hubs, 4mm stainless spokes. I mean, a nicer wheel set all the way around. As far as the chassis goes, the frame itself, I think they're comparable. They both have great looking welds, good craftsmanship. The frames are nice. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this frame or the SSR 300 frame. So they're comparable in that aspect. Where they vary, and this is the 450, is that engine. Okay. The 300 and the 250 is based on the NC Zongshin engine. That's not a bad thing. That's a really good engine, but it's used in a lot of different applications. It is a 4-valve water-cooled engine, but I think has a little more utilitarian type bones in it than full-bred race engine. I mean, it is a performance style engine, but I mean, it has like a counterbalance in it. It has a lot of things for comfort and not so much for all-out racing. Okay, this is, as I've said it before, a Unicam Honda 450 motor, period. Part for part, knocked off to the T. I have bought gaskets for it, just going down to Honda. There's no difference. Anybody tells you there is, they're full of shit, okay? In fact, I found a website in Portugal that I translated, and it had a lot of information about this motorcycle, more than anywhere I ever found. And their claim is that Asia Wing bought the rights to build this bike after Honda no longer produced it. I tend to believe that because back in 16 and 17, when they first released the 450 model with this engine, everybody was saying that, they're getting sued. You won't see this, motor around much longer. Honda's suing Asia Wing. None of that happened because here it is. And this bike's a 2020. So, I mean, this motor runs. It absolutely, this is a race bred motor for sure. That would be a big difference. That is why I do like this. I mean, I think that it has good frame, good bones. The motor is strong as an ox. I love it. I really do. The same suspension as the 300s, I think. I think it's the same, though I'm not totally sure about that because it definitely has some different markings than the 300. And it appears to be a little bit different. This is interesting. There are clearly Honda wing or wings stamped into this, which is weird. I know the camera doesn't really show them that well, but you can kind of see it over here. If you look at it with your naked eye, it's clearly like hologrammed, and it almost looks like ZL in the middle, which I know is ZL or maybe ZR. I know ZR makes suspensions, but anyway, I don't know. I'm not totally sure on that. I don't want to say it. They're not, and they are. I don't know. But they work. The suspension, I've been able to dial it in. Fairly happy with it. For the time being, I'm not going to mess with that. So I think they're comparable as far as suspension goes. But here's some of the other differences. This bike uses some very cheap components as far as like the levers go, the perches. I mean, this stuff's chibangy. I mean, this stuff is the cheapest crap they could put on this bike. No doubt about it. That is one thing the 300 had, was beautiful components. Up top, and the controls were all billet, just breakaway style levers, high leverage clutch lever. I mean, it was very, very nice. I mean, nicer than any of the Japanese bikes, really. This is something else that's weird. I mean, it does have the Japanese Nissan brakes. They are Nissan. But this arrangement they put is huge. I don't know why. It just seems bigger than even my KX. And I was looking at some photos of the 300, and I think that's smaller and a little more low profile, not as big and clunky. And again, it got the cheap starter button, really cheap. You know, that's gonna go away soon. It's just garbage. That button is, it's cheap. All right, the ones on the 300 were sealed. It wasn't just this cheap, flimsy metal. They were much nicer than these. That's really about it. And all that is, and it's not that it's a bad motorcycle, it's just that what SSR did is SSR went to Asia Wing and they said, produce us the absolute cheapest 450 you can produce with that engine. Because it is an outstanding engine. In my opinion, it is the highest output Chinese 450 motor there is. I mean, the NC 450, I've heard good things about it. I haven't compared it. I gotta be honest, I haven't ridden one. I have no idea. They look fairly comparable in power, but I had an NC motor, and I'll tell you, it's not even in the same category as this engine. It's just really not. Reliability, it may be, and all that, but power-wise, it's not. And the NC engine's very heavy. That counterbalancer, it's a porky little motor. This one's pretty lightweight. I mean, it's pretty, you know, slim line. There's not much there. Very small. The cases are tiny. I mean, this thing has a split oil design, the CFR, where you use different oil in the clutch and then use a separate bath of oil. And I mean, it's like 1 quart in the motor as far as the engine goes, which I love because I can use a really high film strength oil you would never be able to use in a regular motorcycle because it would glaze the clutch and destroy it. I think that's important. And then I'm able to use just a really good friction-based clutch oil for a motorcycle over here, which I really think that's a good design. Anyway, that's about it. Just wanted to compare, just so you guys understand what you're getting before, if you buy one of these. And they're obviously, all three are gonna be awesome bikes. You're not gonna have issues with them, you know. But I just want everybody to understand the differences because I have owned both. I kind of know the ins and outs of them. So anyway, anybody ever has any questions, by the way, please feel free to ask, man. I don't know everything about them. I just, getting to know something about them, owning a few of them. And please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Next video is going to be riding with my buddy Wes. We're going to do a heron scramble up in Taylorsville. So it'll be fun. Anyway, have fun, guys.